you're currently acting. You just mentioned, man, you're out on the road with Red Dragon Cartel, Jake Lee, man.
Yes, I am.
You grew up. He was, from what I read, he was one of the reasons you started playing guitar. One of your very early influences, man. It's got to be so much fun being out on the road with him and watching him every night up close.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's crazy because Jake Lee was, very early on one of my biggest influences and biggest inspiration kind of guy. And, he was just, by the time I started playing guitar and discovered Jake Lee, he was already basically retired from the business. And at one point, even before the internet was really what it is today, or before the internet even really started, I remember even hearing rumors that Jake Lee was dead, and I had no way of even knowing if it was true or not. And then later on I found out that it wasn't true, and I was really happy to hear that. And then but I didn't really imagine him ever coming back to the business, because he always seemed to be trying really hard not to do anything and not to be seen by anyone. And all of a sudden he just made a comeback, and it's just I'm really happy just to see the fact that he's out there and playing again and writing new music and touring, and he still got it, and he looks the part, and he still has the moves and everything. And, now the fact that I'm even on tour with him, for me, it's just all these years later, it's just amazing that I can be a part of it. I feel very privileged for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of that, your current album, Live the Dream, I mean, you're doing exactly that right now. You're living the album title, and being on the road. Live the Dream. You do a lot of instrumentals.
Yeah.
Is that tough? Opening for Jake and being strictly an instrumental artist. Is it? How is it getting the crowd going and stuff like that? Warming the crowd up for the night, and how's that going for you?
Well, you know what? We've only done 2 shows. Both of them went really well. And I think even though we're instrumental, and people always say that instrumentals are, it's a very niche market, and people don't dig that, and people always say that stuff. But the reality of the situation is that whenever we go on stage and we're in front of a crowd, they do appreciate it. And we get, last night in Philadelphia, we got such a huge response, and people were really cheering for us really loudly, and they were really digging it. And last year I saw the same thing when we toured with in the Malmsteen. People were really digging it, so I mean, because every band has vocals, and there are a million bands out there, so I mean, why can't one of them be instrumental and actually, just appreciate the music, so I think, the tunes that I write, they're very melodic, and I try really hard to make every tune sound really different than the next tune. And they have a different tempo, they have a different they're written in a different mode, they have a different groove, the sections are completely different. It's a different approach, because instrumental music is just difficult because you can get people bored very easily. Mm-hmm. So it's a challenge to just keep it exciting and entertaining and melodic and do all these things. And I don't know, I think that somehow, even though people have this prejudice against it and just saying, instrumental, just they dismiss it right away when they hear about it. But once they see us live, we've been getting a totally different response. So, awesome. In that way, yeah, I think it's cool.
Well, I mean, just listening to it, you're not just an instrumental band that just goes up and plays rock and roll. Sonically, you fit in really well with Red Dragon Cartel, especially with Jake's playing. You can definitely tell your influence is really, really early when listening to the music. It's not like you're a thrash metal instrumental band. I mean, it fits, and it works very well. and it's gonna, it's got to be a fun show. I mean, like you said, people dismiss it very, very quickly when they hear the word instrumental, musician. But if they sit down and they listen to the music, perfect fit for this tour. It's just
exactly.
beautiful.
And it's music. It's like, it's not that people just go there to hear lyrics that they can't even tell what the singer is saying. I mean, it's music, and I think people can appreciate it. Well, at least some people.
Right.
So you can never please everyone. So.
Well, I mean, with a lot of venues now, especially club settings, this, with the monitors, a lot of times, all you can hear is the instrumentals a lot of times. So you have a hard time hearing the vocals in a lot of places. So I mean, in some venues, it's really not that much of a stretch. But let's just face it. I mean, there's some singers who are great, but they are very, very few and far in between. It's like, Exactly. So I mean, the album "Live the Dream," man. Dave from Megadeth, not Mustaine, Dave Ellefson. He makes an appearance, man. It was on Carmine's label. I mean, it had to have been a fun time, fun experience making this record. How did everything come about?
With Ellefson, you mean?
Yeah, how did everything come along with Ellefson and even Carmine's label coming on to the scene?
Hold on 1 second. Apologize. The keys are in there. Well, Carmine's label came in later. The whole thing with Ellefson was basically. We were in a band together a few years ago. The project was called Angels of Babylon, and it was started by Rhino, he used to be the drummer of Manowar, and he got that band together, and that's how I got to know Dave Ellefson. And I even did a guitar solo for one of the songs that I don't know, like how he was, it was one of F5's songs, a band that he was into. Okay. So I played on one of his songs, and then when Megadeth were touring and they came through Massachusetts, I just asked him if he would play on my record, and the timing was good, and we made it happen. And it was really cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I know it's a pretty short tour that you're on right now with Red Dragon. It's maybe, I think, 10 or 11 shows. Yeah.
No, it's like 14 shows, yeah.
So playing a small tour like this, do you have more tours planned for the next couple months, or to close maybe 2015, January, February? What can we look for after the Red Dragon tour is over?
Well, I have some dates are being booked for February for Drum Wars with Carmine and Vinny Appice.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, after this tour, after Christmas, I mean, I'm going to the NAMM show in January. I'll be playing there for ISP Technologies, which is the company that I endorse, the amplifier company, which is, they make the best guitar stuff out there. So I'll be playing for them, and then February, some Drum Wars dates. And I'm not sure, there's always something around the corner, and, I always get asked about that in interviews, and I just can't even foresee, 3 months ahead, and then 3 months later, a bunch more interviews because I'm doing something else. So, yeah, it's really hard to predict.
That question is, the hardest one to answer sometimes, I'm sure. It's like the dreaded question, because you don't always know what's coming. You've got a tour coming up sometimes, but it's I don't know where we're playing yet. I know we're going to tour, but...
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Hopefully, before the summer of 2015, I'll do my own headline tour. But who knows? It's in this business, you just never know what's coming next.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting business, but it's a great tour to be on right now. I mean, nothing is better. Not many guys get a tour with their the biggest influence that they've ever had. You know, you get a tour with a couple of people you love listening to, but the biggest influence, that's rare.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I got the chance to do that with Inve last year. Now I'm getting to do it with Jakey Lee, and I mean, I have a music video with George Lynch, is one of my all-time heroes, and then Greg Howe was another one of my biggest inspirations. He played on my first record. So I mean, in that way, I feel very, honored and privileged to, have the chance to do those things,
Awesome, man. Man, Ethan, thank you so much for taking time tonight. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. We'll catch up soon.
Okay.
Awesome, man.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. Have a great night.
You too. Take care.
You too.
Later. Bye-bye.
See ya.